In this work, we present video-specific autoencoders that allow us to explore the contents of a video, edit them, and efficiently transmit a video. Given unordered frames of a video, we learn a simple image-based autoencoder specific to a video. Given a frame X from a video B, we feed it through an encoder F. This is a simple feed-forward model consisting of 5 convolutional layers. The output of encoder, also known as latent code, describes the image, and we get back our original image by feeding it through a decoder G. Essentially, we reconstruct the original image via two functions, f that encodes to a low-dimensional latent space and g that decodes from a low-dimensional latent space to the image. We train an autoencoder using a simple L1 reconstruction loss. We use individual frames x from a video v without any temporal information. We learn a video-specific autoencoder for 300 unordered video frames from a Barack Obama sequence. The trained model allows us to explore the contents of a video. A multidimensional scaling via PCA or principal component analysis allows us to visualize the latent codes of frames in a 2D space. Clustering via simple k-means allows us to see two clusters within a video. We can also average the latent codes of each cluster to get an average image representing each cluster. We can also edit the frames in a video. For example, we edited the eyes and the mouth shape. The autoencoder also allows us to efficiently transmit the videos over the network. We can feed very low-res samples, a 32x32 input, and get a sharp output at the reception. Or we can transmit temporally sparse frames. Given 2 frames in a video, we do a simple interpolation on the latent codes and generate intermediate frames. A simple autoencoder trained on a specific video allows us to explore and edit the contents of a video and efficiently transmit over the network. We now study various properties that enable different applications. Given unordered frames from a flower sequence, we learn an autoencoder specific to this video. We get the latent codes for each frame from the learned model and project it to 2D space using principal component analysis or PCA. We observe a continuous representation even though we did not use temporal information of the video. We see a temporal ordering emerge in the learned model for a wide variety of challenging videos. Here's a motorbike event, car going on the street, biking, person moving stroller, boxing, car drifting, horse jumping, and a man doing parkour. We next ask what would happen if there is a repetitive motion in a video. Taking a simple example of metronome. The needle is moving from one point to another. Will the model learn these repetitive patterns or will it not? We observe that similar looking frames, even though temporally far apart, occurs at the same point in 2D visualization. Here numbers show the frame ID. We took a large number of videos with repetitive motion and observe that the same content maps to similar position in the 2D visualization. Crucially, in the example of women playing cello on the extreme right, we observe that the stretched out hand posture in down bow and up bow are nearby in latent space even when far apart temporally. And we observe similar consistent behavior for many repetitive videos. We now explore the reprojection property of autoencoder. Given an autoencoder trained on 82 frames of a video, we visualize the latent codes in a 2D space via PCA. Red line shows the temporally continuous behavior of the learned autoencoder. We now take a noisy 32x64 input and feed it to autoencoder. The reprojection property of autoencoder maps even the noisy points close to original points. This means we get a sharp output. 2D projection of latent codes of the generated outputs perfectly overlap with the original samples. There are 3 colors here on the plot: red, yellow, and blue. Red is for the original points, blue is for the noisy input, and yellow is for the reconstructed images. We observe a perfect overlap between these 3 points. We now consider a challenging 16x32 input and feed it to the autoencoder, and once again get a sharp reconstruction. We study the projection of latent codes in a 2D space. Even though there is a slight misalignment between red and blue points, red and yellow points perfectly overlap. The reprojection property of autoencoder maps noisy input to the space spanned by original points. Finally, we take an even noisy input sample, showing the output from the autoencoder next to it. We iterate the process, that is, every new output is input to the autoencoder in next iteration. We see sharp outputs with every iteration. This property allows us to transfer minimal bits and yet be able to get sharp outputs at the reception. We now use different properties of video-specific autoencoder for various applications. We begin with exploring the contents of a video. We can summarize the video by averaging frames of a video. A naive averaging of pixels leads to blurry output. Whereas we can get a sharp average image by using the reconstruction of average of latent codes. We contrast between average images computed by per pixel mean, average of latent codes, and sharpening the outputs using iterative reprojection property. We use this property to explore larger videos. Here we have an 11 minutes long video of Mr. Bean. We quickly visualize the contents of video using the 2D visualization of latent codes via PCA or principal component analysis. We provide an average summary of the selected region by generating the centroid of the points in a selected region. We also show midpoint corresponding to each centroid. We can also quickly see the contents of a video. We partition 15,679 frames from the 11-minute long video of Mr. Bean in 20 clusters. We show midpoints for each cluster as the representative frame. This allows a user to quickly glance the contents of a video. We now use the properties of autoencoder for different editing applications. We begin with temporal editing. For example, we have a video of women playing cello. Shown below is the 2D visualization of latent codes. Now, a user marks the region on this 2D visualization and create a new video using the learned model. We take this 1-second video and create a new video using the video-specific autoencoder. We create a yet another video of a person struggling to do pull-ups using a model learned specifically for this video. The video-specific autoencoder also allows us to learn a continuous spatial space for imaging. Given a frame, we want to remove the person in background. We copy-paste random patches from surrounding and feed it to the learned autoencoder. We no longer see the unwanted person in the background, showing some more examples via user edits. Given a region, a user naively copy-pastes the patches from surrounding and feed it to the video-specific autoencoder and gets a continuous output. Showing another example, the ability of video-specific autoencoders to give continuous spatial output allows us to stitch video frames. Shown here are 3 random frames from a sequence. We naively concatenate them and feed it to the autoencoder trained for this specific video. We get a sharp and continuous output. We now take 4 frames from a video and feed it to the video-specific autoencoder. Once again, we get continuous spatial output. We can also stretch a video frame. We can also do editing over the stretch frame. A user makes desired edits and get the output. The learned representation also allows us to learn correspondences across frames in a video. A user provides label on the first frame and we use the learned representation to propagate the mask to the rest of the video. Once again, a user masks the region in the first frame of the video and we use the learned representation to propagate the mask to the rest of the video. We now use the properties of autoencoder for efficiently transmitting over the network. Firstly, we can transmit temporally sparse videos over the network. Shown here is a video captured at 30 frames per second. We create a 120 frames per second video by interpolating latent codes and generating new frames via decoder. We can transmit low-res images over network and obtain sharp outputs at the reception. We contrast the results with state-of-the-art ESR GAN that is trained for a 4x super res. We show a 16x upsampling, that means we use the pre-trained ESR GAN model twice. Showing another example, the video-specific autoencoder allows us to get high-res detailed outputs even when we did not optimize for one. Finally, using a very low-res input and obtaining a sharp outputs using iterative reprojection property. We end this video with limitations and crucial future work. Training a new model at test time is not instantaneous and it depends on the length of the videos. Importantly, we train a new model from scratch for every new video. An important future work is to come up with faster ways to train a new model or use insights from transfer learning such as simple fine-tuning. We observe that training a reliable model is challenging if we make the videos temporally sparse. This is particularly challenging when the cameras are fast moving like a handheld camera. Current evaluation is done using standard video benchmarks and regular web videos where such behavior is not frequently observed. We plan to study the behavior of video-specific autoencoders on various challenging videos captured from handheld devices. Finally, we restrict the training of a video-specific autoencoder to a single scale. While it is sufficient to do a lot of tasks, but multi-scale training allows us to further leverage the internal statistics of video to get resolution better than the original video. The downside of using multi-scale training is that it takes 5x time for optimization and leads to blurrier results. We leave these crucial challenges for future research. To this end, our aspiration is to develop methods of learning that does not depend on a specific task and yet be useful for meaningful tasks without any modification in the learned model. In this work, we studied how a video-specific autoencoders can enable a large variety of applications without specifically optimizing for one. Thank you for watching the video. We hope you find it helpful.